Good day, everybody. Welcome back to the Marvel Contest of Champions news show.
Hercules and Kitty could have been nerfed last year due to overperformance. Yes, they were doing too well. We're going to have more on that. New AQ buffs coming to Season 10, so that's pretty exciting. Incursions buff is coming soon, but solo incursions may be unlikely. Antman's buff details have been revealed, and Kabam staff told to calm down the potency in light of the Scarlet Witch synergy situation, and so much more from the XN interviews, and as well as arena predictions and results. It is a new week. Hello everybody, I hope you liked the new intro that was done by White Mummy, who you can find on Twitter in the link in the description down below, and especially because if you've been on Twitter then you'll know and seen some of his animations, because look, you know, you got Quicksilver coming out. It takes basically the images that Kabam put out and kind of create these kind of like motion, kind of like not motion comics but motion animations with this, and add some extra effects to it. So go and check it out in the link in the description. Really cool stuff. So yeah, go and see. Before we get into the show, which is a very specific type show, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe with post notifications on all. The reason that it's so specific is it will be dissecting an interview with Kabam John. This is from an interview that is on the XN interviews, so go and check it out in the link in the description by JAX and XN. They kind of come together, do an interview with Kabam John, who's a member of Kabam. So this is genuinely a person from Kabam giving all these info bits of nuggets, and yeah, I think without further ado, let's just go into it. You can listen to the full interview, which is 1 hour long, and what we're going to do is just dissect like little sections from it. So let's yeah. So one of the first things discussed, and one of the crazy things, is talking about how some champions imbalance the balance of Marvel Contest of Champions in different types of areas. One particular example is Hercules, second example is Kitty Pryde, and how Kabam kind of felt about these particular characters is they kind of like felt that they were kicking out too much damage, overperforming, having too much of, and one of the things that comes up a lot in this interview is having one champion that does 50 things is something that I don't think Kabam are too happy with, which is a bit of a weird thing, by saying, hey, we've put this champion in that's meant to do these things, but we don't like that they do these things. So it's a bit of a weird thing. In any case, Kabam felt that these particular champions, Kitty Pryde and Hercules, were overperforming. There is another example to this which kind of comes to light in something that we knew from a long time ago, and that was the Corvus cheese in Alliance Quest. So as a lot of you know, when you've got Corvus and you're able to cheese certain areas, it does put a fundamental problem for Kabam as to how they build content, and also apparently the developers are a bit scared as to like how they build content to kind of counteract these champions and be, you know, use ingenuity to create some new type of content. My only kind of like kickback to that I would say, like, well, Kabam is still doing very well with creating content that's still fun and engaging. I mean, here's a good example. There's something called Act 7. Act 7's the best bit of content that's been created post certain champions like Corvus, and definitely since last year when we had Hercules come in and, you know, the final boss fight and the superior Kang, and how that was just like, that was a good bit of content. So I don't think it has deterred Kabam from creating good content since those particular things have come in, but I definitely think that, you know, Kabam may be quite cagey with creating new characters in the future, although they still will create high interactive champions with the 50 versus the 5 things that a champion is good for. One other secondary point to this is that the way that Kabam create champions and the way they kind of look at comic lore versus how they create the champion, and one of the things that Kabam John did say is like they try not to make them seem to be as overpowerful as say they are from comic books to then bring them into the game, which I do get, but then the problem is it's like, look, you're dealing with characters that are favourites. We've got people coming to the game that watch the MCU, and if they see a powerful MCU character come to the game and find it's not there in that kind of way, then they kind of get disenfranchised by what they have from a representation standpoint to effectiveness build-up type scenario. The potent synergy situation is something that Kabam John mentioned, and it looked like there was an internal staff meeting at Kabam, what John describes as the old champions, which, you know, is great to see old champions. The potency of these synergies are very powerful, so they're kind of working now on toning these down in future. So if you're hoping for something like Dear Sister, well, Dear Sister is going to be, it was like an irregularity. I'm sure there's still synergies out there, and definitely know of that. Something I do want to explore in a video series. But for the time being, you're not going to see situations like this, which in some ways is quite good, because then we got this real kind of like terrible situation of people really investing time, money into these particular characters and also their synergies, which does put a dampener on things. So Kabam have to be very careful, and I'm glad that they have had that meeting, because it does have a big impact to the player base. Kabam John also went into detail about the champion rebalance system and how, you know, there's still champions that have kind of gone not going to be rebalanced, but still should really fall into within it. I mean, I suppose that's really the Kitty Pryde and the situation with Hercules, but they're not. It doesn't look like they're going to be kind of like targeted in any kind of way. But there are obviously a lot of champions that need to. This will then spring to reworks, which we're going to talk about buffs and some really exciting things with that. But apparently, very early on, there was a lack of staff into these particular areas, so that's one of the things that they couldn't really kind of get off the ground as quickly. And Kabam are always hiring, so you know, if you think that you're good kind of fit for whatever they want, then, you know, go and apply for a job at Kabam. There was a quick mention about AQ buffs, and there's going to be some great things coming to Season 10, so all of us can be very excited for what's going to be for the future of Alliance Quest. Battlegrounds was kind of quickly touched upon, which is, you know, a lot of people really like Battlegrounds. And as well, the node situation with that, there's going to be some blasts from the past, as referred to by Kabam John. So more on that in the video. So go and check that out in the link in the description. There was also a slight warning about Alliance War Season 38. As a lot of you know, we are in Season 36, I want to say. So we're still like 2 seasons away from this. But apparently the nodes, which could feature some things in the case of glancing, could leave for a lot of frustrations, and for what it seems to be a tease by Kabam John, is that we could see a lot more bosses being Knull. So yeah, Season 38, whip your Knull out, because your Knull's gonna be nulling everybody, something like that, I don't know. Yeah, so yeah, you could see a lot of Knulls in Season 38 as bosses. But also some part 2 to that is that the attack tactics are going to be massively improved. So I guess that's some sort of good news with the Knull bad news. So it kind of nulls each other out with the good and bad. Kabam John also teased that there was going to be an Incursions buff. I mean, we've covered this on the channel before, that the Incursions is going to be getting a buff very, very soon, which is great. I've just got back into doing Incursions after a long time not doing it, and that's mainly from like a gold and shard perspective, and sort of with the artifacts. But the thing is, the meta of the game changes, and also time. Like, it's a longer time to do Incursions. I've seen a few times like people's takes on Incursions being like, oh well, it's a kind of like a free time event, it's a throwaway type not event mode, but the thing is with Incursions is it is fun, and it has the tendency to be really good. It's just a shame with stuff like Battlegrounds and other things, what it's done is it's kind of shoved it to the side, but it could be a really fun game mode continuing on. Even more so if you could create some kind of solo incursions within it, because a lot of the time trying to rely on people is a problem. Yeah, having 2 types of versions there, a solo and a kind of like duos mode, would be incredible. Especially there are people out there, friends that do play this together, this particular mode, but let's face it, nowadays this is very much a solo game. I know that we could say, oh, you know, is it PvP? We got sort of PvPe with Battlegrounds. Do we have anything that's kind of like, you know, co-op type thing? There's not. We're kind of fooling ourselves when we think that this game is kind of like you can play with friends. No, you play. You kind of like checking how your friend is doing, but you don't play at the same time simultaneously with them. We share in each other's misfortunes, and we share each other in others' fortunes. But at the same time, it's sad to kind of think that it's not PvP, or it's kind of like, you know, you're doing some live kind of grind, which would be good. Like, imagine if you could do that. And we talked about the idea of like alliance raids and having some kind of like live interactive based thing where you're fighting. It's just not that. It's not what Marvel Realm of Champions was. I'd love to see something that kind of like cross-link that particular narrative together, but it's just not that. In any case, I digress. Incursions is going to get the buff, as we know. Improvements in lots of different places in that mode. But it was said that the solo aspect to this is unlikely. Kabam John even said when he first got to play it, oh, this is great, can I play this by myself in a solo aspect? And I think he was told no. So it doesn't look likely at the moment we're going to see a solo version of this, which is disappointing. And if Kabam are watching, please look into that, because a lot of players have called out for that to be a thing with that particular mode. And now let's talk about buffs. Okay, as a lot of you know, we are getting the Antman buff coming very soon, as in next month. So Kabam John did give a little bit of a tease as to some of the abilities this champion has. There'll be a full dissection of this when the spotlight goes live. But it looks like he's going to be a less annoying defender. And the notes were that glances are not going to be as frustrating to go against if you, again, go in a defensive standpoint. Handy for any kind of content you interact against him with. He will, there's something around shrugging debuffs. I need to kind of confirm that one because it seemed like something was muffled. But debuffs are going to be on the champion. I mean, the same kit basically. In a nutshell, it's going to be the same kit. There's going to be poisons, there's going to be petrifies, and there's going to be more damage for the poisons on any kind of enemy. There's a new pin particle ability which builds them up and does a power sting on the enemies and refreshes debuffs. So that's going to be really cool, and we're going to see more about that in the future. And in kind of like the way that they've kind of pitched him, I feel that this is going to be like Immortal Abomination, if I was to give any comparisons. But, and here's one of the biggest things, is there's going to be no new animations. Yes, no new animations for Antman, as confirmed by Kabam John in the X and interviews. As I said, if you want more information on the stuff that I've kind of like created notes for, then go and check out the interview for yourself, as it's in the link in the description. It's a great listen, and it's a 1 hour long like listen into some like great kind of like nuggets of information and some of the stuff as I'm kind of like covering in this particular video. Sentry also comes up as a discussion point. I mean, look, there's a lot of fans of Sentry, and you know the power of a million suns. He is meant to be incredibly powerful, but definitely doesn't seem to be that in the game. And some interesting things around Sentry is that what Kabam John said is that the Sentry was put on the back burner, as he will need a full rework. The team apparently tried to kind of like tackle this champion several times, but it didn't really kind of work, and decided like, look, you know, this is taking too much time, and you have to make that decision. Like if I'm creating a video that's kind of like 10 hours, it's taking 10 hours long, I have to also make a decision of, well, what am I doing for these 10 hours? Can I tangibly go, this has been worth it, to what I'm actually producing at the end of it? The same thing I think Kabam have to kind of have that same question of themselves, going, look, we've worked for 10 hours on this, right? This could have been done in 5 hours, and we could have allocated those 5 hours to other bits of content to improve. So it becomes somewhat of a loss to the community if the development team are taking too much time elsewhere in other things. They have to really cut their time. But again, that could be down to a staffing issue at the time as to like how they have to split their time. So prioritization of staff. This is not a management thing. Right, in any case, Sentry, yes. So they've tried, it didn't work out. They've got to go back to the drawing board. It's still on the subject of they will return back to it. It's just this one is kind of like not happening at the moment. And the final bit of interesting information is that a Black Panther Civil War buff is in the works. It's actually just gone yesterday. It was 2 years to the day. I think it's 2 years, or is it 3 years? No, it's 2 years. 2 years to the day that sadly Chadwick passed, and we got Wakanda Forever this year. It would be nice to see a Black Panther Civil War buff, and it looks like that's in the works. So if anybody's kind of like wondering whether or not we'll actually kind of like get this buff, this champion buff, then yes, he is in the works. We're going to see a buff at some point. I'd love to get a 6-star version if that's the case. And yeah, I really hope that it's a solid buff, and a lot of players want to play this champion again, especially with it being a skill champion. It's always very difficult to kind of go, okay, is it going to be a debuff shrugger? Is it going to do lots of bleeds? I mean, it does bleeds in any case, but is it going to be debuff shrugger? Is it going to do this? Is it going to reflect damage, which it kind of does? But is it going to have anything more than that particular kit that's not already seen? Something new, something original, something fresh within the skill line that we haven't seen thus far would be fantastic. Give a new light, new strength, a new appreciation to this particular character and champion, and MCU legend at the same time. yes, that has been the dissection of this. I'm kind of making this as the big focus point of the new show today, mainly because there's nothing about to talk about apart from this, because it gives so much info in a very short space of time. Please go and watch and listen to the excellent interviews with Kabam John. The reason being is that this is where all the information is coming from fresh. I've taken everything down into a little kind of like little snippets of information, so it's well worth kind of going back to this and giving a listen. And now we're going to end the show as we normally do with arena results and predictions. So the arena is the Quicksilver and Misty Knight arenas. Let's see what happened. Well, as expected, the results are eye-watering. If you're looking at the Quicksilver situation, oh god. So these have been one result I can verify. There's one I'm a bit unsure about, but let's face it, a lot of them are 309 mil. 309 mil. This is the highest I think arena results has ever been in Marvel Contest of Champions. I do think that this needs to be looked into by Kabam just 100% verify these things. There are definite people that are legit that play this and extensively just, well, their lives are just ruined for about 3 days of kind of like doing this particular arena. But yeah, 98 positions, 309 mil. I think you'd have a better chance getting a 5-star, which dropped at a low 52 mil for a new champion, especially a very kind of like hotly desired champion. 52 mil is pretty much kind of like around about the fair kind of level for that particular grind. Now, if we're looking at the situation with Misty Knight, then you'll get, you know, for a low grind of the champion, 48.2 mil got position 98, and for the 5-star, if you wanted a cheeky 5-star, 11.5 mil was enough of position 437. So first of all, I want to say shout out to everybody that gets involved with the community tab, gets involved with Discord, gets involved with Twitter, that gives me all these kind of like bits of data and information, because it's handy, because then we can create this and gives people a little bit of a kind of a leg up and kind of start up when it comes to grinding with the champions in the round 2. But in any case, very high for Quicksilver, as a lot of us expected. My predictions for round 2 are as follows. So sadly, and I was hoping it would be 250 mil, but it's not. It has to literally be 310 mil for Quicksilver as a 6-star. It may deter people in the round 2 and it may go below. I hope it does. But let's face it, you know, people are grinding a lot for these arenas. More so available time over the weekend, because the weekend people don't work. Quicksilver is a 5-star, 55 mil. I'm sticking with that. I've reduced it from 10 mil from the round 1, because, you know, it's kind of like gone a lot less than what I thought. Misty Knight is a 6-star, 50 mil. Good opportunity to kind of scoop up a Misty Knight as a 6-star if you can do that. And Misty Knight is a 5-star, 12 mil. Again, easy grab with that one if you are looking to grab that. I think it's a good opportunity to pick up some shards as well in the basic arena if people are going quite low. But, you know, you can just put upwards about, you know, 10 mil and get yourself like a top 1% to 5% with that one. So it's a good opportunity for players if you wanted to indeed do that. And just before we end the show, I want to give a massive thank you to those that support the channel as a YouTube member and as a patron. You're on screen right now. Thank you ever so much for the support. Also, let us support on twitch.tv/RichTheMan live. Should be live streaming tonight, but we'll see how the evening progresses. Thank you. And yes, make sure to check out some other content located on screen right now. Might be another video today, haven't really decided. And yeah, peace everybody, have a great day. Bye bye.